Have you ever felt an inexplicable connection to an inanimate object? As you consider this question, let us pull your imagination to a dimly lit corner of a time-worn antique shop. Picture the old wooden shelves lined with myriad curiosities, the air heavy with decades of dust and forgotten stories. Looming in the shadowy corners, a unique display stands, a congregation of unsettling dolls. These are not the ordinary, cheerful porcelain dolls you'd find in a children's playroom. These dolls are different. Their glassy eyes glisten with a sinister knowingness, a seeming wisdom beyond their inanimate existence. They're a league apart from the norm, and their disturbing visage is enough to give one the chills. Meet Mr. Abernathy, the shop's proprietor. He is an elderly man with a parched face looking as time-worn paper, and eyes as weathered as a stormy sea. Over the long, winding years, he has collected these eerie dolls, each with histories that speak of tales of misfortune, despair, and sometimes unexpected moments of misplaced enthusiasm for the undemanding friendship of a non-speaking toy. People visiting his shop often find themselves inexplicably drawn to these dolls. Their feelings a curious mix of fascination, unease, and a peculiar sense of kinship. Enter Amelia, a young woman with raven hair and eyes that hold an endless thirst for the unexplained. Her interest in the macabre, the supernatural, and the downright bizarre frequently leads her to places like this, where she gathers intriguing stories for the rabid followers of her blog. As she steps into the shop, her eyes are immediately drawn towards the haunting collection of dolls. She slowly makes her way towards the display, her fingers gingerly tracing the dolls' delicate, uncannily appealing features. She marvels at their realism, the detail in their clothing, the lifelike pallor of their porcelain skin. Among the entire compilation, one doll stands out, a porcelain figure with long ebony hair and striking emerald green eyes that seem to bore right into Amelia's soul. As she picks up the doll, a shiver runs down her spine. She dismisses it as a mere side effect of the shop's musty air and the chill of the against her skin. Noticing Amelia's interest, Mr. Abernathy slowly ambles over, his voice quavering slightly as says, "Ah, you've chosen Dorinda. She has quite the tale to tell." Intrigued, Amelia encourages him to share Dorinda's story. Mr. Abernathy, pleased at the interest, begins his tale. He paints a vivid picture of Dorinda's creator, a woman named Abigail Thornfield. Abigail was a gifted doll maker, renowned for her incredible attention to detail and the life she seemed to breathe into her. But Dorinda was more than just another doll in her collection. Dorinda was her magnum opus, her crowning achievement, a doll crafted with a piece of the doll maker's very soul. Amelia's eyes widen at this revelation. The notion seems preposterous yet intriguing. She's hooked, captivated by the story and eager to hear more. Mr. Abernathy explains how Abigail, unable to have a child of her own, poured every ounce of her love, her hopes and her dreams into making Dorinda. She imbued the doll with a sliver of her spirit, hoping to fill the void Abigail felt. Amelia, holding Dorinda, feels an uncanny connection to the doll. It is as if Dorinda's eyes held a secret story yearning to be shared, a spirit desperate to be understood. As Mr. Abernathy delves deeper into the tale, he describes how Dorinda metamorphosed from being a simple doll. She became Abigail's companion, her confidant, a repository for her unspoken desires and deepest secrets. But that bond, the intense emotional investment, came with a heavy price. Amelia, leaning in closer, is completely enthralled by the tale of Abigail's obsessive yearning for a child. The price, Amelia, was Abigail's life. Mr. Abernathy's voice rings out in the quiet antique shop, the words echoing with a dreadful finality. The revelation sends a shudder through Amelia. Abigail was found dead under mysterious circumstances, not long after she had poured her heart and soul into creating Dorinda. The townspeople recalled the sleepless hours creating and recreating models until she finalized her product. It was as if crafting the doll had drained her of her life essence. The old man's eyes take on a faraway look as if he's viewing the tragic scene anew in his mind's eye. The townsfolk were horrified and rumors started circulating that Dorinda was cursed, that she was a soul-sucking entity preying on the life force of her creator. And since then, Dorinda has been passed over time and time again, her eerie beauty and the dark tale associated with her, making her an object of morbid fascination. The words hang heavy in the air, casting a palpable shadow over the shop. Amelia, feeling a chill run down her spine, gently places Dorinda back on the shelf. The doll's emerald eyes seem to glint unnaturally in the dim light, the sinister secret of her existence now revealed. Amelia decides to leave the shop, her curiosity sated and her nerves rattled. As she steps out, she takes a final glance at the display. The dolls seem to watch her leave, their glassy eyes reflecting the flickering lights of the shop. And so, the Sinister Dolls of Abernathy's antique shop continue to wait for their next victim. The custodian, Mr. Abernathy, only a vocal storyteller when asked. He has to make a living after all, and the dolls often fetch a compelling price. His conscience questions these decisions, but that is a tale for another day. Please feel free to leave us comments, dear listener. Your notes help us plan our tales and create more of what you're enjoying. Now sleep well and steer clear of ominous-looking dolls, please.
It was a cold, stormy night when John Thornton found himself stranded in a remote, antiquated inn nestled deep within the heart of the English countryside. The inn was old, its time-worn wooden beams creaking with every gust of wind that rattled the windows. The place had an eerie aura about it, and John couldn't help but feel a shiver down his spine as he checked in. The innkeeper, a grizzled old man with watery eyes, handed him an old-fashioned key. "You'll be staying in room 13, he muttered, with a hint of a warning in his voice. John glanced at the key, its brass tarnished with age, and offered a polite nod. As he climbed the creaking wooden staircase, the flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the walls, he couldn't help but wonder why the innkeeper had hesitated. Room 13's door groaned open, revealing a chamber that seemed to belong to another century. Heavy, moth-eaten curtains blocked out most of the moonlight, and the room was filled with antique furniture covered in dust sheets. A massive four-poster bed dominated the room, draped with faded, frayed curtains. Despite its gloomy appearance, John was too tired to be picky. He closed the door and threw his bag onto the bed, then set about lighting the gas lamp. As the room slowly illuminated, he caught sight of a painting hanging above the fireplace. It depicted a striking woman, her pale face framed by dark, cascading hair, her eyes seemingly following his every move. John couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Ignoring his discomfort, he decided to get some rest after a long day of travel. He slipped under the heavy covers, but sleep did not come easily. The wind outside howled like a banshee, and strange, indistinct whispers seemed to dance on the air. John dismissed them as mere products of his tired mind, but the unease persisted. Hours passed, and John awoke with a start. The room was bathed in an eerie blue light, casting strange, shifting shadows on the walls. He blinked in confusion, unable to discern the source of the light. As his eyes adjusted, he realized that the ghostly glow emanated from the portrait above the fireplace. The woman in the painting had come to life. Her dark eyes bore into his soul, and her lips parted as if to speak. John couldn't tear his gaze away from her, his heart pounding in his chest. "You shouldn't have come here," she whispered, her voice barely audible but filled with sorrow. "Why?" John stammered, unable to look away. "This inn, it's cursed," she murmured, her image growing fainter with each word. Before John could ask for more information, the painting returned to its lifeless state, and the room was plunged into darkness once again. He fumbled for the gas lamp, finally managing to relight it. His heart was still racing, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. When morning finally arrived, he couldn't get out of room 13 fast enough. He stumbled downstairs and confronted the innkeeper, demanding an explanation. He leaned against the worn wooden counter, resting his head in his left hand. The old man sighed heavily. "You're not the first to experience the whispers of room 13, he confessed. "The woman who sometimes materializes, that's Lady Evelyn. She was a tragic figure, cursed to haunt this inn after her untimely death." The innkeeper refused to elaborate any further, sensing his guest was upset enough. "She warns guests to leave before it's too late." Chilled to the bone, John gathered his belongings and hurriedly checked out of the inn. As he left, he couldn't help but glance back at the window of room 13. He saw Lady Evelyn's ghostly figure outlined as if backlit by a light, strange with the morning light evident around him, her spectral hand reaching out as if to say one final goodbye. The haunting whispers of room 13 would stay with John for the rest of his life, a spine-crawling reminder of the night he encountered a curse he could never forget. As he drove away from the cursed inn, John couldn't help but wonder about the tragic fate of Lady Evelyn and the secrets held within that room. The spooky encounter would remain etched in his memory, a story he would share with others, but one that would also leave him with lingering questions about the mysteries of the past. Unable to shake off his encounter with Lady Evelyn, John decided to dig deeper into her tragic past. He spent hours scouring through local library archives, online records, and even managed to get his hands on a few dusty old books that told tales of the inn's checkered past. His determination paid off when he stumbled upon a hidden truth. Lady Evelyn was not just a guest at the inn, she had been brutally murdered by a jealous lover who, as it turned out, was the innkeeper's ancestor. The tale grew darker as he read further. The lover, in a fit of rage, had killed her in room 13, where her spirit was believed to be trapped forever. She warned guests of the danger that befell her, forever echoing her plight through the whispers that filled the room. The tragic tale of Lady Evelyn added a chilling layer to John's experience, making the whispers of room 13 even more haunting.